click record button. Okay, so as for this spatial design, it means that we can definitely kind of as a human, we can manipulate virtual object in the kind of the real world. So pretty much is the virtual and the real world blend, and it will kind of like have more like I would say holistic. Um, as a human, we can interact with the virtual object in the real world, and the world, the environment recognize that virtual object and recognize our behavior. So it's kind of blending between virtual and real world. Okay, so let's dive into 10 spatial or VR. If you don't know what's spatial computing or what's AR, VR, XR, MR, whatever our terminology is, pretty much is immersive experience. So what's those 10? I label it as engage, innovate, diversity, context, connect, comfort, reduce, personalize, evaluate, and save. Why those 10? Yeah, I mean, why not using the old UX principles? Why kind of find another 10? Anybody want to share their thoughts when they see those 10? Anyone? Peter or anyone want to share? Feel free to leave comments. Or Kai, any thoughts? Cool. Okay, so I will share with you my thoughts why I wanna find a new one. If you happen to see the old UX principles, it's pretty much really flat and following the the screen size and using GUI, right? And for spatial design or XR design, I think it relates much more deeper kind of I would say data, either data or engagement. Because for 2D, like my phone, right? Like my phone, you tap through. But for example, if there's Amazon coming or you're somebody knock the door, you can definitely get out and just do it. Or you see your dog is running around, you will get distracted. But if you are in the VR space or you wear the headset, you are fully 100%, your entire attention is inside this space. And this space, since the device understand you as a human being and understand what your intention, what your behavior, and your iris knows you everything and knows the environment. It opens up a new opportunities and opens up a brand new world for us. So that's why I think it's very important to introduce another new set of how we are going to deal with this new device. And the reason why I was kind of write a book and also talk about this kind of subject is because back in 2022, I spoke at AWE and I proposed the 10 principles. That was the original kind of 10 principles. And why 10? I think 10 is a pretty good number. And also 10 pretty much cover everything, and especially the spatial design has a wider range, including data security and also personal psychology. All those types of like an immersive engagement, all those stuff is kind of on top of it, and safety, right? So I do think it's kind of amplified from 2D to 3D. All the stuff that was not safe in 2D screen, it will amplify 1,000 times uncomfortable or unsafe in the virtual 3D world. Yeah, so I do think we might really need to kind of update our kind of like a way of thinking, and also designers. If you are a designer and you are very interested in breaking into the world of XR, I do highly recommend you to kind of, learning a little bit code, participate hackathon, or join the project that requires a little bit code, opens, or like follow some, industry leaders and get a lot of like inputs of what's going on in the industry. So basically, the device, you can input a lot of human behavior into this device. For example, before when we want something, right, we just open our app and tap through and follow all the GUI, for example, buttons, windows, cursors, icons, menus, all those like a 2D preset. And if right now you happens to be a UX designer, you find out that pretty much everything is all set, right? And now there are like a lot of AI prompt to UI design. So a lot of, for example, music or social media types of app there's preset and login page, right? But for this area, it understand your speech, right? Speech recommendation and recognition, and also it can track your eyes and it can track your behaviors, right? Apple Vision Pro just get rid of the controller, so you can just see things and click things. It understand everything and it understand your environment. It knows your rooms. So how can we leverage these types of inputs of the device? The term that we keep saying UI, what's UI? User interface, right? What's user interface? What's the difference between graphic design and user interface? Graphic design is a 2D visual, flat, or if you want to kind of have some creative ways to say it, but pretty much it's the visual, flat printing on the device, right? Or like on the media, right? Where you couldn't interact with that, right? Graphic is more the visual part of the 2D surface of something, right? The visual parts. But for UI, it's called user interface. Who are you going to interact with? It's the machine, right? So if there's a media that allows us to interact with the machine, that is called user interface. It's called UI. And UI doesn't have to be visual. Because a lot of people think, oh, I'm a UI designer. I create a bunch of buttons, right? I create a bunch of pages. But UI, if you lift yourself up and see UI actually is the way you talk or communicate to the computer or to the machine, right? So it can be different ways. So for example, VUI, voice user interface. You say something and the computer understand. So the inputs will start getting invisible, which means that we don't even need a button. We just look at a button or look at something and click and manipulate, right? We don't really need to have a button or a cursor. It becomes more immersive and it's so intuitive that you don't even need to learn it. It just knows you, right? From your brain to at the end, you want to do things. It takes a second. So the computer know us more and more. And so the media doesn't have to be the traditional way that we have to create a square, right? Every time when I see there are a lot of flat panels floating in the air, why we've already get out of this screen? Why we still need a lot of like a square and tab through? We've already get out of the screen. Why not just having a 3D object reside? And instead of flat button, why not just a 3D grab, drag and drop? So this is the original concept from the reason why I think it's very important to bring up a new set of either principle or something we might need to, think through. Okay, so let's dive into each one. Okay, so the first one, engage. Okay, so people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So in these examples, I got invited to theaters, kind of like the fairy collector. I happened to kind of get invited and try the live performing in VR chat. Inside here, it's very, very engaging. Why? Because all the actors, actresses, they are, for example, like this little alien-like person. This was act. There's a soul by, behind this avatar. So this actress was play this kind of avatar and talk to us. So imagine that for all the interface that we use, the app that we use, it's pretty much all buttons and everything is automated. But imagine if you come to a 3D immersive world where everything is beyond your imagination and there's a real human and talk to you, but it doesn't like a human. So it's totally, you will be immersed into another space where your response can get customized kind of response. So the experience inside Gumball Dream is amazing. It's a live theater. What's live theater? It means that you can create a virtual world and all the avatar you can interact are played by real human. So, or actor, actress in a team. And when I interview theater, I asked her, she is one of the person in charge for Gumball Dreams, one of the actress. I asked her, what if somebody says something that is totally outside of what you intend? And she say, they will have their own way to bring the audience back to the track. So it's a very interesting ways and to interact or to engage. And when I remember I was there, it was in VR chat. I can feel the immersive feelings that you can pretty much jump very high. You can descend, you can ascend, and you can see the entire beautiful, colorful gumball kind of it's from like colorful balls. And I would say it's a pretty well made, and every of the adventures you are taken inside this Gumball Dreams has a meaning in it. And you will pair up with other audience and go out and get the key or get the ball or get some objects back. And you will get through a lot of interesting challenges inside VR. Okay. So during the entire experience, you just feel like, wow, your entire mind, body, soul is totally engaged in the storytelling. So this is also Gumball Dream. If you happen to see my picture, this picture. So onboarding, during the onboarding time, you can see theater, you can see on the right-hand side, there's a robot. The robot is actually played by one of the actors theater. And three of us is Paul Hoover and John and me. Three of us, we jump in. And for onboarding, it's not, follow the video or, there's a tap through things or instructions. It's a real human tell you where to press. And if you press wrong, then you will tell you, oh, you need to do something. So it's a super, super customized experience. So for me, I think engage the key design patterns. If you want to implement engage inside your design, you need to make sure the storytelling. And if you want to know how to do a great storytelling, before we had Curtis, he wrote a book called Hyper Reality. The book, it used kind of like the magic way to present the interesting perspective. So feel free to dive into our previous presentation or speaker event. You can see how to tell a great story or a magic story. And he happens to be the one of the chief leaders in The Void. If you happen to kind of like try the Void experience, it was pretty great. So immersive design. So personally, I think immersive design in this era, attention is the most precious kind of like the value in this era, because everybody has short attention span, right? For example, I just start setting up my LinkedIn live and I got a lot of notification. People start saying why I didn't see the live. So I was like, oh, a little bit here and there. So in this world, there are so many social media notifications. So I personally think if your experience can make people dive in and start enjoying it and start fully immersed with the characters, the environment, I think you are pretty 50% or at least 50 or up more successful if you just achieve one. It's engage. I think a lot of people said that inside immersive space, people expect things to be something that they never seen before. And since, we cover our eyes, right? Or the entire thing, if you do VR, the entire scenery is pretty much get all the attention of your eye. And 90% of our perceptions are from our eye, right? So from visual. So if we can kind of create an immersive storytelling um, that we already engage. And the other thing is interactive elements. What does that mean? A lot of times, why the game was not immersive or engage is because everything you couldn't interact. For example, if I grab the water cup, right? I can grab. In real world, everything is interactable. Everything you can grab, you can interact, you can press. But in virtual world, if we don't have this leverage, we can grab things, we can touch things, we can interact things, then it feels static. So try to make your object or elements as interactable as possible. That if you can kind of achieve those three, pretty much your VR or spatial design is very engaging. Okay, there comes the second principle. Okay, I will drink water and I will take a look of what's the question right now. Okay, hello Peter, hello Navio, hello Monica from Burbank. I was there a few years ago. From Chicago. Yeah, cool. Yeah, people start networking here. Okay, great. Yeah, Nikki, thank you so much for all your support. Okay, cool. If you have any questions, feel free just to leave and I will check probably one or two principles. I will go back and check the comments. Okay, the second principle is innovate. The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination from Albert Einstein. So sometimes we will think about, things need to be like really practical, but also I think the true innovate is from our everyday life and also from the market. What's the market? It means that if people like it, if if people like your VR game, or if people like some because as an audience always seek for something new or special. For example, if you see if you follow a lot of like posting VR, AR types of creators, you can see the most liked is normally the most innovative or something that people never see and feel surprised. So innovate is a very important principles inside the spatial design or VR design, if you like to say. And also, this is the examples from Cubism. I interviewed Thomas. Thomas was, Thomas is the developer or the brain behind Cubism. And later on, I think the next game he just released is called Laser Dance, where he turned the entire, I would say he turned the entire environment into a very interesting, engaging game. And his background is architecture. So if you see the way he create Cubism, he said that because his background is architecture, so he likes to build things and he likes to keep things simple. So the way he created Cubism was he put a bunch of cubes and then he did a simple prototype in 1 to 2 days. It's more like gray box, but using one simple game mechanics and to create. And when people start seeing those like interesting game mechanic videos, they start liking it, sharing it. And he did it for the early development, for the validation of the market. Because as Lee, another great XR developer, mentioned that the best design principles or spatial design principles is from the market. If people like it, it's a good principle. If people don't, if people don't like it, even though it fits whatever the platform, for example, in Meta, if Meta Quest platform, for the developer to upload any types of apps, it has a list of requirements, same as HTC Vive, right? The Vive. So we mentioned there's an examples for he mentioned when he upload his app to HTC Vive. And he got kind of like a rejection because the platform said that don't shake your camera crazily because it will cause uncomfortable for the player, right? So yeah, it makes sense because if you kind of keep shaking your camera, people will get nauseous, right? People will feel uncomfortable. But he said one of the most successful kind of games, VR games in Quest Store or in VR is Gorilla Tag. And Gorilla Tag shakes its camera crazily. So what's the best practice? And later on he said, he told me that there's no best practice. Everything follows the market. And I do agree. But I also not really agree because there might be something that people can hold for their beginning at the beginning of developing. Maybe at the beginning of developing, if you develop something really normal and there's no point of shaking your camera, then don't shake, right? Because it's just adding an unnecessary kind of shaking. But if things make sense, then shake it, right? So the reason why I think it's very important to list out what's the kind of like I would say, basic principles for you is for you to know what to break once you master, once you become master. So there are a lot of interesting, I would say, conflict. For example, if you want to create something innovate, then there might be something you need to break in order to innovate. For example, I remember when I was at one of the companies, if you go to my LinkedIn and you can see what company I worked for in the past, I remember I was told, don't tell or don't, when people see things, it's very comfortable to see horizontally or a little bit below. Don't put things too high right? Don't tilt it your head to see things. It's a very uncomfortable gesture. But you see pillow. If you play pillow, pillows pretty much put all the UI on the ceiling and you lay on the bed and look at your ceiling and it doesn't cause any uncomfortable. And it pretty much kind of somehow break whatever I was told when I work in a big company. So yeah, what's the best practice? I think if you see my order of the principles, I think if you can achieve engagement, innovate, and later on context, connect, all those like feelings, high level things first. And later on, if you see the way that I arrange design principles, I put comfort. Some things that is more conservative, I put it at the end. Why? Because I think sometimes something innovate might not be comfortable. So that's why sometimes you need to see which one fits you. And if you can make it innovate, if you can make it engaging, if you can fit the context of what you are going to achieve, and people likes it, the market likes it, then I would say, yeah, the rest of it, probably you'll achieve the majority of it. You don't really need to fit the 10 design principles. And if you can meet, engage, innovate, context, the first couple of it, I think you are pretty good. Okay, so you see like just by a simple cube and tab, and if you see the buttons, everything I would say is very innovative and very simple. And it's also thanks to his background. His background is not developer. His background is architecture. He has architecture background. So this also bring another areas of knowledge inside XR. So yeah, so I would say, and he did the market validation. He created some prototype and he shared on his social media, and he got a lot of likes. And he knows that oh, by doing this, it's the right direction. So he keep doing it, and it's a successful game. So this is also like the way we kind of create innovative design. Oh, okay. So the other example I want to mention is from Ruth. Ruth, she created a very, very innovative, it's called monster building room inside Horizon Worlds. So how does it do? So pretty much all the elements to create a monster is mounted on the very giant room, virtual VR rooms inside Horizon Worlds. And the player or the audience can just grab, and there's no like a physical limitation. You just grab it and you can just jump super high and attach something, and you can even get through the monster, right? And imagine in real world it's almost impossible to create a monster like this by jumping and by creating, by dragging and drop. So this really breaks the kind of like a physical limit for the user or the audience to release or to kind of fulfill their creativities. And so, for example, if you feel like, oh, I sometimes I think for the immersive or VR or a lot of like live theaters, a lot of times it kind of help us to deal with our emotion or help us to release something that as a human we want to always do, like creativity. We always want to be creative. So this really help us to release our creativities, and it's also like wow, like a amazing. And every time you can assemble different kind of monsters. And I would say if you go to Horizon Worlds, it's pretty much, I would say they use like a drag and drop types of coding, but you can also hard code uh, to the thing. So you can customize your interaction, but basically it's no code tools or local tools. So it allows, I would say, I usually said that if you want to just build things, right? You use no-code tools, that's no problem. But if you want to kind of work in this industry as an XR designer, developer, right? You want to associate with this platform build, you probably need to learn a little bit about code. But if you just want to build a world, no-code tools, or just want to prototype, I think no-code tools is the quickest way to come up with to visualize your ideas. So let's see the key design patterns. So in order to be innovate, you need to prototype very fast and and post on social media and get the market validate. So for example, because what I heard from a lot of great developers, they say sometimes we just sit on one idea for so long and we just keep building, building, building. And after, a few months, we release it. We find out nobody really like it. And for game, right? The large, the game is something that people don't really need in their everyday life. The reason why people play games is because it's innovate or it satisfies somehow a person's desire to be a hero in a virtual world, right? Or there are some desire that not being satisfied in real world. That person play games can satisfy something that they always seeking for in real world. So something that we have to kind of do the market validation in order for us to understand whether our direction or whether our innovation fits to the taste of market. So rapid prototyping is very important. And also feedback from the users. Yeah, without getting feedback from the users, we have our blind, like blind spot. So, and we also need to learn from everyday life. When I interview Thomas, he said that his upcoming new concept of games is he wants to turn his home into an interface or his kitchen as an interface. I think somehow if we can turn our everyday life, something that we get used to and get familiar with, but we use a fresh eyes to see it. For example, pillow game. Pillow game is pretty much very interesting. We sleep every day, but we didn't even think we can play a game on pillow, sleep on pillow, and we play a game. So, and the game is about dream. Yeah, I think those types of things not only can resonate the users, but also you can just, immediately people associate with something and immediately people feel feel familiar. That is something that is innovate to use fresh eyes to see all things. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Ruth the best. Yes. Okay, cool. So the other principle I want to mention is diversity. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Martin Luther King Jr. So the diversity is aspect inside the XR is very, very important. For example, in the images, you can see it's from Chris McNally. He also spoke for our previous events. If you are interested, feel free to kind of go to XReality Pro LinkedIn and you can dive through the previous speaker event or go to our YouTube channel. You can watch the previous one. So for Chris, when he was born in low vision. The top image, when he saw the world or when he sees the world was monochrome, black and white, or a very hard to see little bit color and very pixelated. And there's a big donut tunnel in front of his vision. So imagine if you your entire world when you open your eyes as a baby. You see the world like this. You couldn't really see things. So he's not totally couldn't see things, but he has a low vision, which kind of prevent him to access to a lot of different things. So he said that by AI XR, right? XR device, which means that you wear a head-mounted device, and by adjusting the contrast. So by adjusting the contrast. So he mentioned that he need the inputs of the environment, the contrast much higher than normal people need in order for him to see things. And also he integrate AI inside. So for example, when he navigates through his kitchen, right now, if you see down below the picture, it's not that as clear as we see on this image, but it's much more clear by adjusting the contrast. You can also use, Unity, adjust contrast, and import into all those different devices, and you can see the world more clearly. And by AI kind of integration, when he navigates through his room or his house, his apartment, he sometimes can, by using AI system, he can, and computer vision, right? The device, there is a camera in the front, mixed reality headset or spatial computing headset. Sometimes he will hear AI assistant tell him that, oh, there's a basket on the floor, 1 feet in front of you. Yeah, so he can navigate through the environment through spatial AI or XR AI or Gen AI, something that whatever you like to call. But according to Terry Schuessler, the XR or Spatial Computing Innovation Director in Deutsche Telekom, T-Mobile, he mentioned that it doesn't really matter about what terms you like to use. The thing that being remembered is the use case. So the more we use it, the more we know how to call it. For example, internet. Before internet become internet, it has tons of terminologies. But now when we say internet, we know what's internet, right? So I would say that we just wait because there will be a lot of terminologies. Everybody wanna define things differently, but whoever gets the usage or user scenarios, people will remember that as associate terms, and that terms will go big. So we just wait and see. Okay, so the other thing that I want to mention is from Microsoft, the Persona Spectrum. Yeah, so diversity. It's very, very important to design for disabled. There are 3 types of disabled, and recently I saw 4, like a travel or something, I forgot. But 3 is from Microsoft, the Persona Spectrum. Yeah, you can Google it and you can find the entire kind of accessibility training from Microsoft. They have an entire course and documentation for it. So let's dive into Microsoft, the Persona Spectrum. So you can see there are three kind of scenarios that people will either permanently, temporarily, or situationally get disabled. For example, someone might lose one of their arms, so they lose the sense of touch, right? That's permanent because you couldn't really grow an arm back, right? Temporarily, it means that, oh, somebody got arm injury, so it's just temporary. Later on, once the arm get back, or once the arm is getting recovered, yeah, the person will get back to the sense of touch. As for situational, for example, a mom just got a newborn baby, a new parent might have a temporary losing a sense of touch. But once when the time goes by, the the sense of touch will go back. So you can see different scenarios. If we design, we take care of each scenario by taking care of all the different disabilities. We taking care of people both in situational and the temporary disability, right? If you want to play some games that has some diversity types of awareness, I think most VR game is a very interesting um, game that incorporates sign language. So if you play most game, it's a pretty small mouse that will kind of you will join the adventures, and there are a lot of small quests that you need to do, like a small like a side quest, and it's using the sign language. So and also in PlayStation, they have some interesting taking care of, for example, if you couldn't hear, you have hear or you know, those types of like a disability, you are deaf or you couldn't really hear well, you can go to the settings and then by enable that toggle or by enable that function. When you see normally when player jump into that game, they will hear where the enemy will come. But instead of hearing using the audio, it will come up with an icon to tell you, oh, this is where the enemy will come. So those are all, a lot of examples are also mentioned in the book. So you can see that for diversity, if we can take care of people with permanent disability, we can help almost everyone. We can design the apps that almost for everybody. And also, I remember, yeah, thank you for Monica to share um, the document. Yes, inclusive Microsoft design. Yeah, so yeah, according to Cecilia, who is the co-founder of Basil, she said that the difference between good product and great product is accessibility. Yeah, so you see, if we can create things according to different like accessibility, and we include people of different colors, different sizes, or different you see like a permanent, temporarily, situational, kind of disabled, or we have different diverse representation. We're pretty much including everybody. We pretty much create an app that is a great product. Okay, any comments? Nikki, I think this get kind of innovative conveyed by insurance. Medicare is so very important. I see so many viable options shared in my feed, but they are usually financially inaccessible for most people. XR Health is the only option that I know covered by Medicare, but things like e-sign are not, but would make such a difference for so many people. Yeah. So I think creating by keeping the diversity in mind would really help um, us to create a better digital product. You can, yeah, you can apply to the spatial design or also 2D design. You can also apply it. Any questions? I need to drink water. It can extend to design domains specific language. See Strucma community for more. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I think we have a great discussion for our audience. I just have to just dive in. Any other things you wanna chat or any thoughts? Feel free to leave. Uh, cool. Okay, let's dive in. I know there are a lot of principles. Okay, thank you so much for staying here, and it's been an hour. I think right now we have 36 people watching live. I believe you are very, very into the spatial design because it's already been an hour and you guys are still with me, and thank you so much. Okay, so the other principle is called context. Without context, words and actions have no meaning at all. Yeah, so this is very true because sometimes XR, if you read the book, the first or the second chapter, I mentioned that at the beginning of XR, it's pretty much an arena for all the XR developer to show off their technologies. So, and if you just show off the technology and there's no actual ways to use it, you lose the context. So even though it's fun, but nobody will use it the second times because there's no need, right? There's no context. There's no way that we need it, right? So context is also helping us to know why we use it, right? So for example, um, in um, in this image, in this slide, the image is from Clash of Shapes. This is a very interesting VR job simulation games where the player got put into different restaurants. For example, Mexican restaurant, Japanese restaurant, or like somewhere you can make hamburgers, right? Fast food restaurant. So it will teach you step by step how you do sushi, how you do burrito. Yeah, so those will help people to kind of like learn how to do things. So for example, I saw a lot of like a job simulation training. They are probably on website. You can make your own pizza, right? Or you can long time ago there was Walmart types of 3D to kind of 3D but inside 2D screen games where it will train how to be a good Walmart employees in the Walmart retail stores, how to kind of store, how to put the inventory, how to check the kind of goods. So there are a lot of job simulation types of games or in the real world simulation. All those are really help us to kind of understand why we use it. And some people are very, very enjoy it. For example, I played like how to cook a good ramen, that types of VR simulation types of game. Not only I learned how to do it, but also it's really satisfying because I saw a lot of customers eating the ramen and they have a lot of smiling face. So this is kind of like a educational but gamified job simulation, that types of interesting ways. Also, the other one I want to talk about Pillow. Pillow, I think when I interview Ben Irwin, he mentioned that Pillow is a breaking age. Like it's just a revolutionize VR games that doesn't have any, maybe there's some, but no flat 2D traditional UI but drag and drop. For example, if you see or if you download Pillow and play it, if you want to kind of select something, you grab a sheep, right? Because it's a very, very, very innovative game. You just grab a sheep and slot into enter, right? And drag and drop. It's not even 2D screen and you click and you read things, right? It's totally becomes an immersive storytelling, breaking from GUI menu, icon, button, and windows, cursors, right? All those elements was gone. It becomes a very immersive storytelling. And when you see things, right, you just grab it and you slide it. You just know what to do. And there's no, even though there are some tutorials, but it's very, very intuitive way to interact. So it turns the entire world into a space that you can drag and drop in a very, very high innovative way. That is not even existing in the real world. So it not only fits the previous, I would say the principles, right? Engaging, innovate, context, but also at the end you will see comfort, right? Um, according to my previous job, I was told not to create a UI or something to beyond your like a vision horizon, right? Your eye shooting array. You don't wanna do the thing that the user look up. That will cause uncomfortable, right? But pillow, pretty much everything is on the ceiling, right? And you lay on your bed, so we break all the rules, and it also has one of the patterns. Those are just three things that I summarize. The reason why we emphasize NUI and 3D object, there's a reason why. Because for the traditional GUI, everything is limited in the font size, right? 2D size. And it's all GUI and 2D, right? And it takes time to learn. And sometimes if you don't really know what categorize hierarchy is, you might not even find that page, right? You couldn't find things. But now just imagine we are in this like virtual world, but with the reality around us. Everything is just like you can grab, right? We have hands, we grab. This is natural. Yeah. And we can talk, right? When we are in our real world, we speak and we see things, our eyeballs see things, right? Navigate around. So it's very different from this 2D types of screen, types of app things. You are pretty much inside another world, and there's a time based. And everything you interact, it's like you are inside different world and understanding another bizarre world and how to interact with it and using your hand, voice, and using your eyes. So screwfism, yeah. So a lot of things were created by screwfism. It's more like a mentor for things. If you don't know what's meant screwfism, a quick explanation is that when you open your PC desktop or Mac desktop, you can see different folders, right? The folder icon. The folder icon, why you call it folder and why it looks like a folder? Why? Because long time ago, 20 years ago, when the office worker a long time ago, they have a drawer. And inside the drawer, there's a physical folders, the actual folders inside the drawer, right? And they will take out, and inside there are different files, right? So it's a metaphor for that types of physical world. So a lot of context or a lot of good games or good spatial design or spatial computing kind of like a simulation or apps. They use goofism, use the symbol that we use to associate and put it inside the game. For example, if you see a phone, you probably know you just grab it and there might be some information there, or you might be able to talk or something, right? So there's a symbol behind the either icon or 3D objects. Yeah, so yeah, context. Since the world becomes 3D and all the interactable will be 3D. Any ideas, questions? I think Peter, Monica, and Nikki has a great discussion on the chat. So yeah, cool, awesome. So the next one is connect. We are all connected to each other, biological, to Earth, chemical, and to the rest of the universe atomically. Neil Tyson. Okay, so for in the past, VR experience is very lonely, right? We wear the headset, we disconnected with the world, and we just being solo inside the virtual world. But for Meta's vision or mission is to connect people from different places to do things together. like this image, right? You can Google this image. This image was the vision from Meta's website. So you can see the person was wearing a normal glass, okay, a normal glass, and having playing chess with somebody that is from other places, and they are in the. It looks like they are in the same places, and that person can just play chess, while that other person is far away, but still play chess. Was able to kind of virtually present, right, in the physical space. So that's Meta's vision. For it's very important that when we design in kind of like spatial computing or XR, whatever you like to call, it's very important to keep in mind that we need to connect with people. The reason why people start jumping in to do to wear the heavy headset is because it's worth it, right? And it kind of satisfy us to be connected, right? To do things together. So let's see. Another example is from Nano. Nano is a very innovative way for uh, scientists to jump in to create a molecule. So you can see inside Nano, you pretty much you can enlarge a huge protein, right? And see the probabilities of how to do the engineering for it. And the way to do engineering is that if you happen to kind of sitting to my previous Skillshare, for all the kind of potential protein folding, there's something called a amino acid, and it has tons of probabilities to fold. So, and the folding probability, different angles is according to its distance. So by visualize the distance between different structures, you are allowed to build things together. So yeah, this is a very amazing way and innovative way to bring subject matter experts to work together in the project. So connect, it's not only connect the virtual and real world, but also cross platforms, such as if you see recently the Horizon Worlds released the 2D version, and also Roblox has the Quest VR version shows up. So all those are connecting. So this actually the spatial computing is connecting people, not like the AI pin or human CEO had TikTok in the past talking about how VR isolated and how we shouldn't have for the next generation, we shouldn't have a VR headset to block everybody and form a very isolated society. But I would think that it's interesting to see that we are also connected through spatial computing, and also for human in the kind of in the book, I also mentioned that John, the head of designer in Nano, he also mentioned that one time he saw humans demo a person using AI pin, because AI pin is pretty much you only use the voice and a little bit of hand and doing the projection. He said that person want to open the gate of the community, right? Open the gate and ask human what's the code. And human just read it very loud of your security code. So this will raise kind of privacy issue. So I think for XR or spatial computing, it as long as there is something need to be visualized, right? Something you have to see instead of voice. You can always use, the glass, right? If you see Meta's vision, right? Yeah. So I think AI pin is convenient, but I think a glass Sometimes we just wanna, do things quietly and just see it or using hand. We don't want people to know, right? We wanna maybe testing or something, right? Sometimes we wanna talk, but sometimes we just wanna silently work on things. So I think visualization is very, very important. And also I do believe if we can get the glass, that is, like the vision of Meta. It's on this image is on Meta's website. So yeah, so if we can achieve like this, I believe the entire world will go to the next stage of the spatial AI, right? AI generation. Okay, anybody has any questions or any thoughts? Cool, the void. This is just so exciting. Yes, yes, just like Nikki said. Yeah. Okay. So the other principle is called comfort. The role of the designer is to create space for human comfort from Philip Stark. Okay. So Arwar. Arwar was an MIT lab student. She wrote Quest Go, like a long time ago, Quest Go, back to Africa and led a lot of Africa women to try. But unfortunately, because Africa woman normally has a bigger hair than other people. So she find out that the stripe for the Africa woman, the stripe or the headset they couldn't even wear it, so she invented a new stripe for Africa woman to experience virtual reality. So I think it's very, very important to create at least headset comfort just for people to want to engage in it. If something is not really comfortable, people couldn't even wear it. So it's very important to have like at least it needs to fit your body, right? Your hair, and also hardware comfort. And also mind, for example, you want like a personal space to keep you comfort or your movement. There are different types of movement. In this case, it's called Coco VR. Uh, I put a lot of different examples, motion comfort inside my book. One of it I want to mention is the vehicle comfort. And the best kind of like the example is from Coco VR. It's pretty much the goal is to teleport the user from space one to space two, right? And through vehicle types of transportation, our brain is very interesting. Our brain, if whatever we see and whatever we feel, for example, right now I'm sitting, right? And what I see is everything is static. So I won't feel motion sickness. But if I, my thought, my eye perceive I'm moving, but I'm sitting, like my physical body tell me that I'm sitting, then it will cause nauseous or uncomfortable or motion sickness. So by putting people in the vehicle, it's very interesting if you put a frame or you darken, uh, if you see things and you darken the edge, it will also create like a tunnel effect or create something called vehicle effect that your brain somehow know you are stably inside a space and what you see is the outside. So it separate you. Your brain will kind of understand and it won't cause you motion sickness. So there are different ways to do the comfort. And yeah, not only physical comfort, but also your mind, body, and also movement. Everything need to be comfortable. Okay, any other questions? I'm diving in. Cool, inner world. Yeah, thank you so much for Nikki's share. Cool. The other example is reduce. Less is more. We all know less is more, right? And Apple knows really well. So when Apple headset just came out, there's no controller. It's pretty much reduce the cognitive load, right? So all we need to do is to use NUI, voice command, hand, eye, indirect gesture, or hand direct gesture, right? Or you do the voice command. So those are the breakthrough that Apple provides. I even saw one of my friend mention that people are asking for, should I buy Quest 3 or should I buy Apple Vision Pro? And his answer, he was working for Apple as an engineer in the past. He mentioned, if you want to get the best value, right? The money and what you get, best value, probably Quest 3. But if you want to get the best user experience, yeah, Apple Vision Pro will give you the best experience. So yeah, see which one you are looking for. Okay, so this is like the keyboard, right? Instead of we have a controller, grab the controller and grab the trigger and shoot a ray and open the keyboard and trying to click each kind of keys. Why not we just use our hand directly type, right? So this is also a UI part to reduce the cognitive load. Without a controller, nobody really needs to remember which button is which, right? So for example, like when I was creating those 10 principles, long time ago, my last year's version, one of it was I put tutorial in one of the principles because I thought tutorials were so important. But I interviewed someone working in a pretty big company, and he told me that, yeah, take out the tutorial because one day the experience will be so intuitive that you don't even need a tutorial. So that's why I think reduce is also helping us to get rid of, anything that need cognitive load, right? Get rid of controllers so we don't even need to remember which button to press, right? Okay, the other one is called personalize. Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. Oscar Wilde. Okay, at Meta, you can see there are a lot of like avatars for you to choose, and same as other types of I would say VR platform or metaverse platform. You can customize your avatar. According to the recent Roblox report, it says that a lot of Roblox, the kids, the new generation, they, according to their data, the majority of the new kids cares about their virtual presence than their physical presence. So during COVID, a lot of parents will give their children Robux as their allowance instead of the actual money. Why? Because they wanna, because during COVID, everybody or all the kids was in Roblox. So by decorating their avatar, it allows them to, present them in front of their peers. So they kind of feel like proud, or they feel like a being, you know, their sense of self being actualized inside Roblox. So personalized is very, very important. And also user profiling and settings. So for example, in this example, Resident Evil 4, if you open it, you can see, oh, what types of style or standing, sitting, your height, your left hand, you like left hand or right hand, or your movement preference, you like locomotion or teleportation, these types of interesting settings. Those are also tailored to different people's needs. The other one is called evaluate. If you cannot measure it, you cannot improve it. Okay, so for this example, it is Beat Saber. So in this kind of principles I mentioned for evaluate, there are like a instant evaluation, for example, like the feedback. When the player hit the block, it has sound, it has visual, it has haptic feedback, right? So you can get instant feedback. And the other one is assessment. Assessment is more like after a session, a long session, and you can see your performance. If you can see if you can measure it, you can improve it. So it is also a good way to show uh, evaluate, give instant feedback, or give a long-term assessment for your user to get better at your product or other goal for training or for other needs. Okay, so if you see there are short-term feedback and performance assessment is more like for a longer session that allows you to get evaluate so you can do better. For example, like a fitness, some games, training, simulations, those all has like a feedback and performance assessment. Last but not least, it's called SAFE. Precaution is better than cure. So safety, we want to keep all our users safe in the kind of virtual world. So for example, at Meta, inside Horizon Worlds, it has like a 4 feet for each person not to, cross the kind of personal boundary if you enable your kind of like a personal space. And also, not only we need to take care of physical, psychological, kind of like a safety, but also privacy. For example, at Meta, you can see there's like a parental control. It allows parents to help control their or safeguard their younger kids to prevent them to get to exposed in the dangerous content. So those are also safe. Okay, any other questions regarding to the 10 principles? Okay, so yeah, so we can dive into how to get into XR spatial computing and career tips, how to be prepared or how to prepare. First, inside my book, I mentioned that job duty evolution. When long time ago, after graduate from Art Center, I back in 2011, I I just learned Illustrator, Photoshop, and I can get an offer in 6 months. Unlike right now, all the designers I saw, everybody knows everything, like knows much, much more than the old-time designer. And I can see this kind of knowledge need what will be double, triple for the more younger generation. Now the younger generation need to learn coding. So I can see, I usually refer to iPhone. For example, this year's iPhone will be cheaper next year, right? With the same functions. So as human, if we don't increase our value, right? If we don't upgrade ourselves, our value or yeah, our actual value will be decreased next year as time goes by. So same as job duty. Start from graphic design, just focusing on visual branding to UX design. You need to understand how to interact with the machine. Create, you need to learn how to do research. To XR, you need to learn coding, right? You need to start integrate with your code and your design. And to spatial designer, which you need to know the intuitive way, NUI, you need to understand the entire user experience, but just through the knowledge or technology inputs. And right now, the interface becomes invisible, which means that it's so intuitive that there's no room for graphic design or UI designer to even create one UI, right? Maybe right now you can still see a lot of panels there, but slowly a lot of like interaction will be reduced. So that's why long time ago when I joined one of the T-Mobile 5G hackathon back in LA, I was a UX UI designer and I was joining a team and the team was full of developer and everybody was jumping and start creating things. And I was asking, do you need any UI? And they just say, no, we don't need it. And at the end, I was creating a logo for the team. And then I was working on the presentation deck on the Google slide. I don't feel fulfilled because I didn't even get a chance to jump in and creating any kind of participate. So I would say at this stage, a lot of UX UI designer might feel frustrated. I know experience design, but why I cannot get into hackathon and join the team? Because what people need is someone who knows the technology and all the interface becomes invisible, replaced by hand-eye interactions or 3D grab. You can still create some 3D assets, and that's no problem. But you see right now, there are a lot of things that you can use text to 3D object. You can use text to art, text to a lot of things. And a lot of developers, if they has some sense of design, since design tools is such a low entry requirement, people with high, knowledge of coding might be easy to catch up, right? So it seems like a lot of UX UI designer need to start learning the inputs of all the device in order to create a holistic experience rather than, oh, I just do my own thing. I create a bunch of uh, tap in and put into 3D space. I mean, maybe right now it's like that, but slowly we will use more 3D object, grab, right? Tangible, put everything inside 3D space and start interact with it, right? Specialist to generalist. In order to break into this industry, you need to start with specialist. You need to at least good at one thing. You can either good as development or you can either good at design, whatever, just good at one thing and start learning 3D and coding skills. According to a lot of developers that I interview, they now all the studios, game studios, they are reducing their size. Normally for a decent XR studios, it's 2 to 5 people, and they are all seniors, right? So they just work really well together, and the AI pretty much raised the bar of mediocrity. So all the junior designer developers was trying to break in, but this year I'm going to GDC, but last year when I went to GDC, I went to a room of people who are kind of like it's a job matching the recruiter and also matching the student. I saw all the students from worldwide get dressed up, get their portfolio, physical portfolio, and line up at least 500 of them on the, on the kind of the, I would say outside of the passage. And then inside the room, there were only two recruiters, and none of them are hiring. So you see how severe this world become by flattening the kind of like the big company are reducing staffs. XR Studios only requires 2 to 5 senior developers, and everybody wear different hats. Then junior, how can our junior or like our next generation to get in, right? So I totally think that maybe the next generation need to start their own business instead of trying to get into the industry. Maybe start your small studios, join hackathons and join projects and make yourself being seen by the world as soon as possible, right? Run your own thing, right? Maybe do something aside, right? I mean, I can tell you in my past, I worked for tons of different jobs that was not prominent, right? So you can do something that is probably not relative to XR, but you know, you can probably pay the bills, but you can kind of like start thinking about how to start your own business. Maybe last year when I went to GDC, I saw a couple of students, they formed LLC when they were in school. I think this is a brilliant idea because um, trying to get into an industry is extremely hard. And as far as I know, if you see Meta right now is hiring ex-Meta or people work for Meta, go back, right? So people are or companies has budget or even startups looking for senior developer. And junior, I think the best way is to start your own business or partner with other people. Start your own LLC, S Corp, C Corp. That's the best way. Okay, let's go back. Critical thinking. Yeah, in the book, I mentioned that for critical thinking, we always need to ask, does this necessary? Maybe ask ourselves back. So in the book, I mentioned as these examples. Resilience. Um, Resilience is very, very important characteristics for XR or spatial computing creators. For example, last hour I was presenting how to import Onyx into using Sentis AI into Unity. Those stuff are not really, the process was not even shown on Google. You couldn't just go to one web page and see everything and copy and paste. You need to see a lot of different sources, sometimes get frustrated because it's not working. So yeah, usually for Skillshare, it took me probably about a week, every night, just to figure things out and see what's going on and read all the documentation. And at this time, it's very important to have resilience. So if you got error, got failure, don't feel frustrated because it's the way it is. You are dealing with the most cutting edge types of technologies. So yeah, so you just have to learn and learn and relearn and receive failure. Okay, so career tips. Okay, so I see, yeah, a bunch of people posting. Great. Okay, I think a joint hackathon is a great way to know people and know what's going on and know the new API and work with other people worldwide. Like Reality Hack, I think it's a great hackathon. And a long time ago, we worked with Ship6R and creating a hackathon. That one was amazing. And I learned a lot. Everybody learned a lot. I think just by kind of gather together and doing things together virtually or physically, I think this is amazing and we all can learn from each other. Work on projects that will be published. Yeah, I think this is very important because sometimes we just do things. If you don't publish it, it's more like I would say concept project, right? If there's no user, it's a concept project. But if there's a user, if you publish and there's somebody who is not in your team and use it and keep using it, then it adds up the value. It means that your work actually is valuable. So yeah, so I think this is very, very important. It's like something that you work on is being used by other people. I think that says a lot of value. And join some events groups will help you to, for example, like XReality Pro is a pretty engaging one, and we are pretty consistent. Every week we have events and Skillshare helping you to upgrade your skills. And also learn code and 3D. I think design, code, 3D will cover a lot of, or device, right? Or and industry trends, right? Okay, thank you so much. And this is the book. Yeah, if you are interested, everything that I mentioned is in the book. And I also interview 38 industry leaders, see if anyone you know, and I pretty much put all their insights inside the book. Okay, now I'm open to the question. Feel free to just, get in and post your questions if you want to know anything. Anybody? Let me see. Wow, thank you, Nikki, for sharing so many codes. Cool, cool. See, pencil. I'm interested in making actual archery things in spatial, like 3D, 4D painting, sculpting. Yeah, I think those are great. I think just get hands dirty and just jump in and not worry about all those like I would say, yeah, just don't worry too much. You just jump in and start making things. And I think you should be fine because those 10 principles, you don't even need to fit 10 of them. But yeah. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much for watching live. And if you are interested in learning more, feel free to grab your book. It's on Amazon right now. And yeah, or you can reach out to me right through LinkedIn. Okay, thank you so much, and I will see you next week. Bye bye.